I'm Julie. I'm coming to you from Camp Spears Algebra YMCA, and this is Camp Craft. Today our craft is magazine beads, and you can use these to make some really cool necklaces. Makes a lovely accessory. So what you need for this activity are some magazines. You can use old magazines that you've read through the household. You can use circulars from supermarkets. This one happens to be a clothing catalog that we get for our camp store. So we're just going to grab a few pages out of that. And the more pages you use, the larger your bead is. So you can gauge how many to use. This one here is probably about 7 pages. So we'll do a few of those. I'll probably do maybe 4 or 5 in the next one I'm making. So you'll also need a very small implement. This one is a paintbrush. You can use a pencil, although it's a little bit thicker. The thinner you find one, the better it is. And you're just going to take one corner and you're going to start rolling it. And you're going to roll it all the way to the other corner. And when you're rolling, you want to be careful not to get your implement stuck in your magazine tube. It's very hard to get out. But you're going to roll all the way to the end and just leave a little bit of corner there. And you're going to take a glue stick and put it right on that corner, and that'll keep your tube shaped like a tube. And that'll dry very, very quickly. So now I have a magazine tube. I've already made a few more here. So our next step, once we have several of these tubes rolled, is we're going to stick them into each other. So I'm going to take the thin end of this one and stick it into the thicker end of the next one, push it down as far as it'll go, and keep on going with that until I have a very long tube. So there's all my tubes together. It's a little tougher. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to flatten it. So I'm going to take my paintbrush, and starting on one end, I'm going to just completely flatten it down. You want to go with the grain of your rolling. And piece by piece, you can flatten it all the way down. Now it might pull out, your tubes might pull apart, and that's okay, you can just stick them back in. But you want to make sure the whole thing is completely flat. Oops. Like I said, it pulls apart, you can stick it right back together. Once the whole thing is flat, still together really well, you're going to take your implement at the very end and you're going to start rolling. And you're going to roll to the entire end of the tube, and that's going to be your bead. So it's a good idea when you're rolling to have the very colorful pictures on the outside. That way you'll have a much more interesting tube to look at, because if you use all white sheets, it's going to come out just a big white bead. You might want that, you might not, that's up to you. I personally like something to be a little bit more colorful. So I've taken my paintbrush out and I'm just using my fingers to roll it. I want to make sure it stays really tight, because if it loosens, it's not going to look very good. This one is starting to look primarily brown, which will go nicely with my outfit. I'm going to roll it all the way to the end. And there's my bead. Now the end is loose, so we're going to make sure we use that same glue stick. You might want to do this on newspaper. I'm going to clean this table up afterward. And that's going to be nice and tight. Now the last thing I like to do when I'm stringing it is I'll put the string through, and then I'll tie it at the top so it doesn't come loose again, and that's what I did with my big one here. So the end is being tied in place by the rope. And when you're done, you'll have a lovely necklace. Thanks for joining us for Camp Craft, and that was magazine beads.